This program is brought to you by the Media Liberty Alliance Foundation in cooperation with OBBM Network TV, bringing citizen-led, creative local media to the forefront of local communities to foster a greater understanding of constitutional liberty and appreciation of what makes us truly free, starting with you and me.
The Zach Rateliff Show is brought to you by Mortgage Financial in Texarkana, Exceed Health Clinic on Mull Drive in Texarkana, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org.
God's idea of wealth redistribution is different from socialism's idea of universal basic income, in which everyone's paid whether they work or not. Jesus talked about two servants who worked and were rewarded with more, while what the lazy person had was taken from him and given to the hard worker. The biblical path to prosperity involves work and ingenuity, not handouts. I'm Pastor John Miller. Visit me at churchontherock.org.
Hello and welcome to the Zach Rateliff Show. I'm Zach. This is George.
Hey there.
Hey, George, how are you, man?
I'm doing okay, Zach. I'm glad that you are too. You look like you're ready to go at it.
Yeah, I am. It's just thank God for another day. It's always good. I think you know this, early in my life when I was 16, spent 11 days in a coma and then a while coming back from that. So it's one of the reasons I don't run in the rain, George. Because one day I won't be able to walk in the rain, so I better enjoy it when I can.
That's a great way to look at it. I used to look at it too, that after my stroke, I was like, well, I'm not sure I'm going to walk over there because I'm not sure how many steps I got left.
I'll enjoy it from afar.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, hey, I wanted to get in and just you've done some traveling and more than I have, and yeah, there's just the constant. Well, let me go into it this way. We all know about the Christian Crusades.
Yes.
And what happened there in response to 400 years of Islamic growth into, what was then called the Holy Land, and then into Western Europe, and pretty much the takeover. And so then, as I see, let's see, I've got an article here, and I'll just have to get to it somewhere. Oh, this is it, from Mario Naufal on X.com. Belfast, which Belfast is a hot point just in the whole, but Belfast has now called a treaty between the Catholics and the Protestants.
Correct.
For the next 48 hours.
The orange and the green are working together because of the tensions, the Islamic migrant related tensions. This attempted beheading.
Yeah, well, that was yesterday, right? Or the day before?
Day before. And that sparked a lot of things. There were already many Irish people, Northern Irish people, that were ready to stand up and say, no, we're going to move these guys forcefully. So there's been a lot of, civic order threats.
Yeah.
From the police and the government, et cetera. London says they're willing to step in and stop these independent Northern Irelanders. And I thought, oh, great. Well, we're going to have the Troubles again.
Yeah. I mean, this historically, it was never about the basically the Africans that are coming in that have been allowed to take over Europe, from anybody that's over there now that will tell you. But when the Catholics and the Protestants in Ireland are like, oh, let's put this up for a second, there's something coming. And so that's why I think of it as this is what happened before in history with the Islamic encroachment into Europe. And then finally those, and this is, I'm going to put the redneck on it. I don't know exactly, but finally those old kings are like, hey, we can't do this anymore. And I can't remember the name of the one who started it off, something, but he's like, hey, we got to come together. We got to push. And I'm not calling for this, but I'm just saying this is what it looks like is lining up to happen again.
Yes.
And now I don't think, 10 Downing Street's going to allow it to happen. I don't think that everybody's going to get behind that. But the people will speak at some point.
Stormer can't fart in harmony. So I don't know what his deal is there, but he and that group, just like we've had the group here, the AOC, the whatever, the Liberals have absolutely ruined London and the UK. So, but what my real point was, when you were talking about how the Crusades happened, that, just like Belfast, is in response to the horror stories and the murders and the dismemberments, the live disembowelments of Christians in the Holy Land.
Yeah.
It wasn't just encroachment. It wasn't them just taking over. It was the way they did it.
When even, I don't remember if it was before the podcast or not, but in the last year or two, there was a story, I believe, came out of the Netherlands where a migrant, a Muslim migrant, had moved into one of those Western European countries, him and his wife, and they had a young daughter. Well, the daughter became westernized, and she started wearing too much makeup and started doing all the things. So the brother and the dad took her out and beheaded her and killed her as an honor killing. So this way of life is just so different. Now, I want to preface this conversation, and I kind of told you about this before. My mom and stepdad and one of our close family friends, Muslim guy. I've known him since I was, 15, 16 years old. Great guy. And now, also, when my aunt got married, he came to the Catholic Church with us, and he was in there, and, and he goes, he said, and his point was, he goes, yeah, most of what, came from the same people. And so he's never espoused the views that seem so cut your head off and all that. So I really try to temper my point of view. Like, I really like this guy, and he's really good to my family, and he's a family friend. And if he came in here right now, I'd let him sit there and give their point, because I have all the respect in the world for him. And so,
but the redneck is going to say, and so what, you're going to change your mind when the blade is at the back of your neck?
Right.
And I hate that kind of attitude, because it just closes your mind off to so many real possibilities.
Right.
And I'm not a Muslim. I've never been told, well, actually, I have been told convert or die.
Right.
I've been in that situation more than once, but I can't tell you that, oh, hey, this is a good Muslim. Well, what's a good Muslim?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's a good Christian? I don't know. Not sure I've seen one. Yeah, actually, I've seen thousands. But anyway, I don't know how anyone I don't know what kind of discernment God gives you to say that, you know what? I mean, other than just the personal spirit reflecting spirit.
Right.
Saying, you know what? I'm not real sure about this guy, so I'm going to kind of hold him spiritually and mentally at arm's length until I understand more about him.
Yeah.
And even then, here, this will get us in trouble.
Perfect.
Freemasons call them brothers.
Oh, do they?
Anybody that
I don't know anything about the Freemasons.
Yeah,
by the way.
I've been threatened by Freemasons. We gave a church a talk at a Baptist church in Duncan, Oklahoma about Freemasonry. And guy jumped up and said, "Oh, you're a communist," and and all this. I'm like, "Wow, I didn't know I was."
Right.
But there's some issues there, and I'm not saying they're not good people.
Right.
They do a lot of good acts, but I think that also that tries to subtly replace the good of the Spirit and the sacrifice of Jesus Christ by saying, "Oh, now you can win salvation by works."
Right.
But many Freemasons have told me, "Oh yeah, if he's in the fellowship, I can sit right next to him at an altar and we can pray brother to brother." I said, "No, that's not true.
Yeah.
He's not praying to the God that you're praying to, and that's already a misconception." Everybody says, "Oh, well, Allah is the same as God." No, actually, he's not.
That is not accurate.
No, he is actually Satan.
Yeah.
God is God. There is only one God. And anyway, I know I'm getting way off topic.
No, I'm good with it.
But those are the kind of things. How do you discern that? And that's what's going to be really required. It's going to take maturity. It's going to take time in the Scripture, time with the Spirit, saying, show me what is right here.
Right. Well, and that's what we're not seeing in Belfast, because now they're going down, they're burning houses. But also, that is the response when your culture has been taken over. They're beheading your people in the streets, and that's the other side of it. Is I also can see why they're doing what they're doing, because they just feel like, hey, we've been backed into a corner. It's fight or flight. We have no more flight left. We have to fight for our lives. They're killing us in the streets. And then, especially in Europe right now, the ones that are defending themselves are going to be called the racist and the haters and the Islamophobes. And it happens here. Well, we'll get called some of that just for this show.
Oh, absolutely. And the pendulum swings, all of a sudden we're all liberals, lovers, and, we're in the 1960s, hippie scene and all that. And then the pendulum swings way back over here to right and left. It does that. That's a continuum in almost any discussion, anything that has to do with the social environment, because we're humans.
Right.
We'll go from one extreme to the other, and it's really hard to find that middle ground where it's both productive and protective.
Yeah, and that's exactly the way to put it. Well, this is from a lady called Molly Pitcher on X.com. She goes, "The Irish are ready to burn the entire city of Belfast to the ground over these Sudanese from Sudan migrants trying to behead native Irish people." And that's exactly it. Well, here, hold on. I've got this guy. The Zach Rateliff Show is brought to you by Mortgage Financial in Texarkana, Exceed Health Clinic on Mull Drive in Texarkana, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org.
Candidate for Texas Senate James Tallarico claims the Bible is silent on abortion, but he's wrong. He just doesn't like what the Bible says because taking the life of a child is against his political stance. Murder is forbidden in the Ten Commandments and by Jesus. I hope we elect leaders who acknowledge our Creator and protect unborn children rather than throw them in the trash. I'm Pastor John Miller. Visit me at churchontherock.org.
Yeah, that's right.
No, there's a lot of issues with Sudan, and now that it's no longer the biggest country in Africa and has been split up, it's been fragmented and divided for so many years. It's just coming up to a head.
Right. Okay, so then here's this from Malia Maria Rosa. She says, she goes, for those of you that don't speak Italian, I'm going to translate just some of the headlines that I've read in the last 48 hours from the country that I live in, Italy. Sexual violence against a 16-year-old. Judge releases the Egyptian attacker and says no precautionary needs were identified. Tunisian migrant stabs a 20-year-old to steal his bike. Shooting, 30-year-old injured, 17-year-old Egyptian migrant arrested in Milan. Attempted murder, kidnapping, and sexual violence against an Austrian man. 3 Egyptians arrested. Again in Milan. Gang rape of a student. Milan again. Polish model beaten and nearly gang raped by a group of migrants in the street. Saved by an Italian man. This is in Udine. I don't know how to say all these city names. Foreign minor with covered face robbed supermarket holding gun. Then it just goes on. 2 Tunisians arrested and assaulting a man. Violent robberies. 3 North Africans arrested. 50-year-old Albanian man defending an elderly woman mocked by North Africans was hit with a stone and left in a coma. This is the way of life that Europe has imported, and that we're currently importing.
Yes, we did that unwillingly. Most of us, did that unwillingly, and that's some of the things that I want to talk to you about. And then there is a graphic incident that I went through in Afghanistan that probably ought to be relayed too. But first off, I would say that, Canada has about 1.7, 1.8 Muslims. Mm-hmm. That's what's kind of the official numbers, if there is such a thing. The U.S., 3.5 million, 3.6 million, mm-hmm. kind of. The real numbers that are estimated, and a lot of this comes from other sources, et cetera, are 4 million in Canada and over 8 million in the U.S. I think that may be a little exaggerated, but still, I'm sure it's more than 3 million. Well, when they can bring in 10,000 for one prayer ceremony at a moment's notice, and what Baptists are 12.7 million. Well, that beats them both. Well, yeah, and then if you take the effectiveness of Baptists, what's that? 5 or 7%.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So the numbers come up pretty even. And I'm not saying I'm any better. I'm not saying I'm any worse. I'm just saying, that's just kind of the way our society has been so slack. We've been in a life of luxury so much that even our spiritual lives have been complacent. I'm talking about generality.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We've come to accept someone. Well, just as when I talk about it all the time on here, when reading the points of communism, we've caved to all of it in such a way that we don't know where we are.
Because we thought that tolerance was the right thing. No, it's not the right thing.
Right.
It's good to be aware of. It doesn't mean you wholeheartedly accept and you promote
Right.
that. It's good to have that information. So even with the Charlie Kirk thing, we thought things were going to go up. I really thought, okay, that's going to be a bubble.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
Yeah. So
or it was snuffed out.
Yeah.
The bubble.
Because there were so many points of power that wanted to play into that. Well, who's going to be next?
Yeah.
And, how many rings can I wear? And, whatever. So none of that spoke of God. But there is a real resurgence in baptisms. There's some heartfelt things, no matter what their organization or association is. And that's great. I mean, that's a good thing. But let me know when you want me to get on to how I see the Islamic faith being applied in the third world.
Well, yeah, let's kind of go into that because Iran, that was Persia, right?
Correct.
And then a lot of these other countries that are now Muslim countries, it ain't always been that way. That even Egypt, right? I mean,
correct.
So let's just, and I'm not overly educated on that. So let's kind of feel our way through that. And
you bet.
And because I feel like you've got more information on that than I do. So and if you lie to me, I just won't know it and we'll just go on with it.
Well, I'm pretty.
Well, I will know it then if you lie to me.
Well, okay. One tactic.
But the majority of people are listening to this. So maybe they don't know. They can't see it.
That, and there's a lot of people that are more educated. I'm going to relay some experiences as well, and that's from real life. That's from what I've actually seen.
Right.
I've lived and worked in 53 countries. I've probably been through 75. I say, I haven't lived and worked there if it's just 2 days in the airport and on the next one, but actually lived and worked. So Afghanistan was different. When I went out to Southwest Afghanistan, it was even more different than different. Very primitive, hard to find education that was not Quran-based amongst the locals. It wasn't like Iraq where I had Chaldean Christians to talk to, or I had some Kurds that we could discuss things on a me and you basis.
Yeah.
One day I'd just gotten in from some work outside. And I didn't live inside the wire then. I wasn't living in a U.S. military camp.
Right. You were just living where you had to live.
Living on the economy is what we called it. And so on the local economy. And I'd gotten back in. I'd just taken my vest off. And guys that have been there understand. You take your vest off, and wherever your vest was, you're just wringing wet.
Right.
You've got mud and dust and everything. And I'm peeling off my helmet, peeling off my vest, getting things unloaded and just starting to relax. And these two women come up to me, say, Mr. George, Mr. George, Mr. George. And I'm like, yeah, what do you guys? And one of them's Italian newspaper, and one of them's French newspaper. French person, I think, was actually from Kabul, had been there for quite some time and was part of the French camp up there. It's the only place where you could get wine. Kind of. But they came, Mr. George, he's going to kill her. He's going to kill her. I'm like, oh, okay. You want to back up a little bit and give me some more information? And they were talking about a fairly young man. He was about 18-ish, had been married for a year and a half to this young lady that was probably 15, 16 at that time. And they were talking about, well, they've been married almost 2 years now, no children. So obviously he's saying that Allah, she's not up to Allah's standard, so therefore she's not up to his standard. So it's time for an honor killing.
Oh, really? If you don't have kids, they'll kill you.
And that's the first time I'd heard that.
Okay.
Now, I'd heard other silly stuff like, I'm letting my kid stand up in a car and I'm driving 90 miles an hour. And if he dies in the car, well, Allah give me another one, not just that. And I've heard that type of thing more than once.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. Many times. And so I get more information. I said, well, let me go talk to him. And so I take Andy with me. And there are two Andys in some of my experiences. This one is actually still alive. And take Andy with me. I go, well, let's go just sit down and talk to the guy.
Mm-hmm. Is this an interpreter?
No, we have an interpreter with us as well, and
Okay.
he was, let's just say, he was not for us.
Okay.
Some are good, some are bad.
Okay.
But anyway, he was not good. And so we're talking to the guy, going to the house, and it's just carpet over dirt floor type thing, and
Right.
not real windows. And we're sitting there, and we brought some tea with us, and the guy said, "Well, I can't offer you tea. I didn't know you were coming." I said, No, we had some. So we had some snacks.
As a hey.
Yeah, we're just talking.
Yeah.
And Andy brings up first. He goes, "We hear you're not happy with your wife." And the guy goes, "Yes, I run my house very, very strictly." And I said, "Well, that's great. You're a young man. There's lots of honor to be held in running."
Because you don't want to insult him.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I always lead off with something about honor. Oh, man full of honor. You're running your home as your fathers would.
Right.
And I don't say as God would or as anything else, as your fathers would.
Yeah.
And he puffs up a little bit and he's like, yeah. So we're talking. And he goes, "Well, we've been married almost 2 years now, no children, not pregnant. So something's wrong with her. So it's time to eliminate that and go on and find another wife. I have another one picked out." So we're like, "Well, let's talk some more about this." As a child, and we ended up being there for about 4 hours.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we're still sweating.
You thought your day was through.
Yeah, I thought my day was through. And so 4 hours late into the night, it's probably, well, let's see. He went to prayer and came back, and he only spent about 15, 20 minutes gone and came back. And so we kept the discussion open. He says, we started talking about sexual things. And Andy was really much more graphic than I am. So turns out, I'll make everything short here. This could have been another 4-hour story, but
Right.
make things short. This young man had been abused by his father and uncle multiple times.
Yeah.
And so he thought that's the only way that sex happened.
Oh, okay.
So when he was with his new bride that didn't know anything at all,
Oh, that's the way he thought it was done.
that's the way he thought it was done. And Andy
Gotcha.
said, even if you make a hole in one in golf, if it's the wrong hole, it's not a score.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's what was going on.
I didn't even know.
Had no idea that he was performing in the wrong area of operation.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think
Poor
that
lady.
she had talked to her mother or her mother-in-law and had tried to talk. He said, no, you don't tell me anything. You're my property. Basically, was kind of the way he put it.
Yeah.
And he said, no, this is the way it's done.
Because that's what he knew
That's all he knew.
from experience.
That's all he knew. And that's
How
all.
horrible.
And that's, yeah. And
But
so
that's just normal life.
so he was going to kill her and start off with another one. But that was just life. There was nothing. There was no, oh my goodness, That was like, this is the way we live. Just deadpan, this is the way we live.
Well, so then you understand why when you see these stories on some of this from Western Europe or when it comes here, well, then that makes it a little more like this is just the way it is.
Yeah. Now, my good buddy Andy, a Brit,
Yeah. Okay.
I have to preface it with that.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't know how to eat, Anyway.
Beans and toast.
Toast, yeah. Toad in the hole. Anyway. He gets pretty graphic. The guy says, "You know what? I'll bet you're going to enjoy it better if you do it this way."
Right.
And he talks about some other stuff.
Yeah.
And he's starting to draw pictures. I said, "Andy, let's stop. We
don't need all that.
No, I think he understands that there's another way to do this."
Yeah.
So we got that carried across to him, and the two worthless reporters had kind of talked to his wife a little bit. Said, "Oh no, Mr. George will talk to him and he'll protect you." And I said, "Let's not speak for Mr. George."
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Okay.
don't start signing me up for stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, and they're want to do that. They are typical media persons. So anyway, about 5 months later, I think I'm in that area still, and I finally see him again on the street. I saw him across the way, and he never wave in public or anything like that.
Oh, really?
Oh no, I'm an infidel.
Oh, so you can't wave in public.
Well, and he wouldn't really acknowledge. I mean, unless I was an ambassador or something important,
right?
But I'm there in my dish dash, and I'm just
yeah
there.
You're just surviving. Or is it weird to see non-Afghanis around?
During that time, it wasn't, because there was such an influx of NGOs and military personnel.
Okay.
And I mean, we had Koreans.
So you wouldn't have stood out being there.
My beard was probably about down to mid-chest.
Oh, okay.
And if anything at all, when I had my dish dash on or something, I would have maybe a soft vest on underneath, or something with MP5 down my back, or
right.
I mean, some type of protection.
Right. Yeah.
And anyway, saw him today, greeted each other very warmly and all that. And, once I crossed the street to go see him and talk to him, I said, how is your family? Are you passing on the honor of your fathers? And are you making a good household? Are you supporting the community? He goes, things are wonderful. My wife is pregnant. We believe it's twins, and things are going very well. He goes, thank you very much for that. And he says, oh, and thank your redheaded, what do you call him? Redheaded manservant. And I held that over Andy quite some time. Hey manservant.
But in the order of things, that's the way he saw him.
It is and was. And so he thanked us for that, and he says, yes, I've learned more and more. And we said, well, we're just happy to help. But now you can tell other people. And when your son, he doesn't have to grow up the way that you did.
Right.
You can tell him that, hey, you know what? If you wait around for marriage, et cetera, and find the right woman that is right for you,
you can change this. Yeah.
And it wasn't going to happen, but still.
Right.
We can pass it on. So that was in a nutshell of some of my Western Afghanistan experience.
Well, so if that's the culture, then, that's Afghanistan. And it's been gone for a while, but all these migrants going into Europe and working their way here, where does, I appreciate the story, because that's good just for us to understand what we're dealing, because we don't look at things that way. We don't know enough to know what we don't know if you've never been there.
And that spectrum is so huge.
Right.
There are some that would never consider that think, oh, how foul, how horrible. That's not what we teach. Doesn't matter if that's what you're teaching or not. That's the way the world is.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yes, sometimes reality has to click in there.
Right. Yeah, but yes, when they came into Europe, there was we've got to be tolerant.
Yeah.
Well, you can be tolerant, but you can also put the boundaries in there that protect everyone.
Right.
Not only the visitor, but those people that are our current citizens, the residents.
Well, and that, even for years now, there's been talk of no-go zones in Paris, right? You
yes.
don't. There are certain areas that you just don't go to, just because they claim that the police aren't coming to get you. And now I don't know that to be true. I've been to Paris a couple times in my life, and now it's been 16 years since the last time I was in Paris. So I have no way of knowing what it looks like now, but I've heard it's radically different from the last time I was there.
It and London both.
Okay.
There are areas that the police don't go to, even those people or those police that they say are, community reflective.
Right.
They would hire some Africans, whether they were skilled or not, or trained or not, or trainable or not,
right,
and put a uniform on them, and they were supposed to police the area. Well, all that does is that puts kickback money into their pocket.
Right.
It did nothing.
Well, even as far as London, I have from fairly reliable sources that in the 2000s, it was already referred to throughout the White House and the office complex as Londonistan then.
Yeah, that was being kind. At first they had issues, kind of again, the whiplash, the pendulum, because of all the Indians that had come in and really elevated themselves in society and accepted that society and really didn't try to change it as much as what is going on now. there was a backlash then. No, we're losing our identity. We're losing our identity. So,
Right.
Yeah, you are a little bit here, but right now everything's fairly peaceful, et cetera. And not to say that any culture can't provide problems, because every culture can.
Right.
But now, as that percentage of immigrant, legal and illegal both, have become more and more Islamic, the issues have seemed to exponentially explode in urban areas.
Kind of a rabbit hole on this. We were in my mom and stepdad were in London in 2009, I think it was. And they're like, hey, if you can, and then they were going on to Ireland, and they're like, hey, if you can find a cheap plane ticket, just come on. And it did. $500 round trip or something. So grab a passport and rolled out. Well, anyway, I make a long story endless. Met them, and we're gonna go see a play and all the things that you do before we got on the plane the next day to jump over to Ireland. Well, maybe it was 2 days. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have anything to do with the story. Anyway, we're in the lobby of the hotel there, and I noticed there's I don't remember how many. It was either 2 or 3 Bugattis parked in the front. And I thought, man, somebody really rich must be here to have these cars. Well, then there was a guy in his garb and all his things, and then he had his harem with him. And it's the only way I know to put it, but that's obviously what it was. Well, my little sister is Chinese. When she was 9 months old, my parents went to China and adopted her and brought her home, and but obviously she shouldn't look like us. Which it's funny, as it goes now, all these years later, she's just one of us, right? I mean, just family.
Yeah.
But anyway, that being said, this guy comes out and he's with his people and then with his translator, and he points at her, and I'm like, what's this guy saying? And he's like, basically he was offering to buy her.
How much for the girl?
Without saying it, but through hand gestures. And I was irate. Like, oh, hell no, man. We're from Texas, baby. Listen, and my stepdad's like, all right, you just got to be quiet here for a second. He's not trying to insult us.
No.
This is their culture.
Yes.
And I just didn't understand that. I was livid. And my stepdad goes, he will completely treat us with respect. And he just let the translator know, no, this is family. And so then the guy, oh, my apologies, didn't know. Have a good day. It was just, but
it
was just business. Yeah. And he was a cute little girl that he wanted to buy.
It's the same level as if he was asking, hey, would you happen to have a match?
Yeah.
It's that level of commonality.
And that really changed my view as I don't know how old I was then, 22-year-old. I was like, he just offered to buy him, and nobody's upset. I mean, not that my stepdad wasn't upset about it, but he, having worked internationally and traveled a good bit and still does, that he just knew, no, he's not being rude. This is just the culture.
Right.
And my head just exploded. I'm like, what? He goes, you're going to cause us a lot more problems if you handle this the wrong way.
Right.
And
you're going to lose.
Yeah. And that was my first and only taste of something like that I was like, okay, there's a lot to this story.
That's actually a very good example, because what's the norm in our society is not the norm.
Right.
Now,
and I'm talking about, we're in downtown London at a nice hotel, and like I said, this guy's riding in Bugattis. This isn't this isn't what you think of when you look at the pictures of Afghanistan or Iran, and they're riding around in 1980 Toyotas with machine guns that may or may not work. It wasn't that.
Right.
It was a man who obviously had standing and money, and it was just, it wasn't the picture I had in my mind.
And I think that's where people, not only do they get confused right off the bat, but that irrational response to them that a restaurant says, "Wait, what are you upset about? There's no problem here, sir."
Right.
This is.
Or I'm like, I'll fight this guy and everybody with him. Like, we'll do that. We'll go to jail right now.
And you would lose. You would be fined. When I was in Kuwait, we had a guy that flipped off a national Kuwaiti, not a third country national.
I don't know the difference. I mean, I know what national means.
Yeah.
I don't know what third country national
Third
means.
country would be like an Indian or a Korean that had come to work in that country.
Oh, okay.
And maybe assimilated very well. But I mean, this guy was a citizen, an actual natural born Kuwaiti citizen. Flipped him off on the road, got hauled in. And he was Italian. So these guys drive horribly, absolutely horribly.
Worse than Mexico?
Worse than Mexico City.
Oh, I've never been to Mexico City, but I've ridden in a cab for a good stretch of Mexico.
Yeah, worse than the federal district in Mexico.
Because it's terrifying.
Yeah, it is here.
Also, going through London sometimes is terrifying.
Yeah, I don't drive in those places. For one thing, I know that if I'm tired or something like that, I'll go back to right-hand drive or something.
I drove through Ireland in a standard, first time ever there. And we were flew into Dublin and going to Cork. So it's pretty good pull. And I'm like, I can do it. But everything, the gear shifts on the other side, everything, driving a manual is not a problem, but it's your blinkers on the other side. I mean, everything's on the other side. So it took me and everybody in that van getting used to me figuring it out.
Yeah. And if you've been 3 to 6 months out someplace and you're coming back doing that and it's midnight by the time you get out of Heathrow or wherever you happen to fly into, then yeah, you better watch what you're doing. So a lot of times I just don't drive. This kid had flipped off a Kuwaiti citizen and he had him hunted down, brought him in. And I was there for another reason. One of our guys had done something stupid, said he was part of the Klingon Empire and didn't have to listen to us. So that's another story. That's a funny story. And anyway, and there's this kid, and the guy that he flipped off, who had the chief of police, more or less. Yeah, I think that actually was his title. Well, we called him chief anyway. And he was there, and here's his tag. And this kid's been in jail for 4 months for flipping this guy off.
Golly.
He's been in jail 4 months already. Not a nice jail.
Yeah.
Better than some, but not a nice jail. And so he's given all the money that he had. And the judge had already said, oh, no, he's going to do a year. And we're like, oh my, this little Italian kid is on his knees begging this guy, saying, no, I didn't know that was not your culture. There's many hand gestures in Italy. And this guy basically just said, this isn't Italy.
Yeah.
Turned around and walked out. Well,
that's a great point. And like I said, I haven't traveled, a whole lot. I've been places, but I haven't traveled a whole lot. And in comparison, but you got to know somebody's culture before you go over and just start, except for if you come here, then we're expected to tolerate you and deal with you not understanding. And so I guess that's kind of my point on all this is I don't understand why we're always the ones that have to give.
In their culture, you don't get to assume. But when they come over to our culture, you have to assume.
Right.
And that's not right.
I mean, that's not the way it goes anywhere else in the world. You go to Japan, they want you to be dead on with what they do. You go to China.
You got to hide and find the little button that will turn this train ticket machine into English.
Right.
It's not just right out there. Hey, you need another language here.
Right.
So they're not there to accommodate you. They'll try and make things happen for you commercially.
Yeah.
But that tolerance is not right.
No. So I guess kind of getting back to where we're going there, it seems like this invasion that we would call it now, this migration of Islam into Western society, what's feeding that? Where's that coming from? Other than I believe that's the dictate through the Quran is to take over, right?
Yes, in many places that is it. And it just as good as says convert or die, etc. And it also tells you what your mission is. Now, Jesus Christ gave us the Great Commission, which most of us take as the off and on suggestion. Well, that's not the way it's recorded. It's recorded as a Great Commission. You are commissioned to go out and witness in His name. I fail that often.
Same.
Often. and I'm not proud of it. And saying that I fail, it doesn't absolve me of anything either.
Right.
But,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So anyway, the Quran, because they are a totalitarian, every single bit of life is dictated, etc. Between the Quran, the three main books, the first 6 books. Well, anyway, how they get to Sharia law, and etc. But that is all dictated. So there's no choice there. You're going to go out and do that. The nice thing about Islam is that you don't have to do that as an individual, although that's very much accepted and very much promoted. You can do that as a group,
right?
It's you and your whole family,
yeah,
type thing.
Yeah.
So they go out there and they recruit, and if they can't recruit the person, they'll recruit the property, they'll recruit the land, they'll recruit the systems.
All the way around.
It will work all the way. They will work every continuum available.
Change your street names, get used to seeing it.
Everything.
I mean, well, and part of my limited understanding of study is, if you're dealing with an infidel, you're allowed to lie to them.
Yes.
You're allowed to cheat them.
Oh, yeah, they cheat each other too. That's a sport.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. And then so you can lie to them, you can cheat from them, you can harm them to get them to convert. And then if all that doesn't work, then you have the ultimate step, which is, well, you're going to pay for this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think of the Yazidi girls that, were burned, 16 of them in a cage, burned to death because they didn't want to become sex slaves.
Right.
And how does the left wing here and all of the media say, oh, that's acceptable?
Yeah.
They're not going to say anything about that kind of stuff. They're not going to tell the stories that I've told you. They're not going to relay the experience that you had in that at all. It's one of those deals where, 15 years ago, Iran, because it wanted to go nuclear and was so vehement and so violent, only had one friend in the world, and that was Pakistan. And that's because they were vehement against India, et cetera.
Yeah, they're still, Pakistan and India, that's still ongoing.
You're right. And, when I first went to India, there were more Hindus than Muslims.
Are there not anymore?
Oh, heavens no. Hasn't been for 20 years.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Many more Muslims than
Were there 1 billion people in India?
Yeah, at least probably. So, and I think Indonesia is still probably number 1 for Muslims. But anyway, wait till we awaken that beast.
Okay.
That'll be something very different. But they didn't have any friends in the world. And now, thanks to our liberal media and the lack of objective reporting, now they've got 18 major players.
So that's why India will tie in with Iran.
And they've been supporting.
Oh, well, that makes more sense. I didn't understand that they weren't.
There is still a hierarchy. I'm not talking about the Indian caste system. There is still a hierarchy there where, there's probably a lot of politicians now that are still Hindu.
Right. But the people you're talking about.
And those people have money, just like, who is it? Governor Abbott's number 1 supporter.
That's what I've read.
That's a Muslim Pakistani with lots of money.
Well, which gets back to the Bible on that. The root of all evil is the love of money. So when you're willing to sell out,
not money, but the love of money.
The love of money. So when you're able to sell out to, there are many stories of, I'll do anything to be rich. The next thing you know, you get that opportunity.
That's correct. Yeah, it comes right up to you. So, hey, I want to be rich. Well, this is what you're going to have to do.
Yeah, and if it's the love of money, well, that's your root.
Yep.
I mean, that's a dangerous thing to say. I hear people say, "I do anything to be rich." I'm like, whoa. Oh, and not in my friend group, but you just see it said, I'm like, I would not. I've had that offer.
I mean, I'm not sure what actual problems that solves.
Yeah. Now,
does that make your relationships better? Oh, well, I can go out and buy a new wife? No, that's not typically going to make it.
Now, I have heard it said. It was in jest, and someone I know, love, and care about. But I said, well, I heard you got happier. I've heard money doesn't make you happy. And they go, well, I've been rich and I've been poor, and I'm a hell of a lot happier rich.
Yeah.
But they said it in a...
Yeah.
And also this person's so charitable that you would never know either. But you know,
Yeah.
but it's,
But in reality, rich man going through the eye of a needle.
yeah, that's exactly right.
Is that his priorities?
Yeah, well, and that guy, he, the young rich guy in the Bible,
Young rich ruler that couldn't give away his possessions.
couldn't give away anything.
To attach.
He said, "I'll do anything," and Jesus said, "Okay, just give all that away and come on." What? I don't think I can do that.
That's right. And that's one of the things that worries me about this Texas convention. I've heard it said, "Oh no, we can't decentralize because we're social beings. We all have to give face to face." No, we're doing $1 billion in business a day.
Yeah,
through digital means, etc. Let's break up the power of darkness. Let's decentralize. Let's make everybody accountable to their own local environment, and let's work together that way, and just use the technology as a tool. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And you see technology being misused all the time. You know that since computers have come into the classroom, that the cognitive learning has declined 42%.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me at all.
And so that's a real thing.
Yeah.
You can actually track parallel paths between the decline in cognitive learning.
Well, look at, no offense to the teachers out there, because I've got a lot. I don't know if you saw the stat that I put out the other day, but overwhelmingly, I have more female listeners than male listeners.
I did not see that.
Yeah,
How did I miss that?
And it's like 58% or 56% or something are female downloads and listeners. So no offense to them or teachers at all, but also with computers, you've seen the change in teaching. It's
Yes.
Give it to the computer. Where I know people that listen every day that care about the kids. Golly. But then the state has a lot to do with that too. You have to do it this way. It's not necessarily the teacher's choice anymore, which back to what you said was why we need localized.
Correct.
Here's what we do. This comes from the dictate from the school board, which is influenced by the school, by the community, not the state.
Correct.
And so, or even kind of like what we're talking about, one of the school districts around here has a lady who wears a hijab as a substitute. Well, okay, we can have that give some, but I promise you, if it was a guy in a white pointed hood that said that was his religion and he wanted to be a substitute, he would not be allowed.
There would be a problem then, and that's what our somewhat open society cannot deal with.
Right, and I'm not supporting the white open hood guy either. I don't want to get that wrong, but what I am saying is, why the differentiation? Let's
Correct.
just know when wear a hat when they're going to substitute. You don't have to. Oh, I don't want to take this off. Well, okay, you don't have to. You don't get to do this.
And part of that root is still that Islam is seen as a religion instead of a totalitarian ideology.
And there's a break there somewhere,
Yes, there
right?
is.
I mean, you can. I'll give you your religion.
Yep.
Have your religion. And so that's when I was talking about our family friend at first. That's where I believe that's his religion, but he's very much assimilated. Grew up in Canada, and then his family is, and his kids are, and just a part of society. And like I said, he's been around a long time with my family, and goes to the lake with us, and we've done 4th of July fireworks in the boat out at Possum Kingdom, and all the things, and he's just one of us, and so is his wife, and so are his kids, and that's one thing but that's what makes this conversation hard for me is I respect him so much, but also I'm a realist and can see what happens to the people that aren't that way.
That's correct. And not only that to him at some point, he's going to have to make a choice. And typically it's going to be the Muslims that make him, the Islamists that make him make that choice.
Yeah, it won't be us.
Are you with us or are you with your Western friends?
I hate that for him.
And I do too, because then they're going to say, oh, well, he gets self-radicalized because he listened to Imam whoever. He had to make a choice.
Right.
I mean, I've known Mormons that work for NASA, smartest guys in the world that I can think of, and they're Mormons because they can't leave Mormonism because they're going to lose their family and all their social standing. Etc.
That's a whole podcast there too.
But that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's assimilated into Western life
because that's what he grew up in.
Well, or that by choice, he could have gone back to the schools, the masjids, and other things often,
right?
If he wanted to. He had that opportunity in Canada.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's
Well, I think he came early. They moved from Canada early into the U.S. early in
There are
his
plenty of
youth.
Muslims and Muslim schools here in
Right.
U.S. and Canada both.
Yeah.
More all the time.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to make that choice too. And that's why I'm hoping we don't have to make those choices for them. I don't want to be in that.
Right. He's probably 55 now. 50, 55. So, I mean.
Well, he's not going to fight you. He's going to shoot you.
Oh, he.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
once you're that age, you just.
Yeah. No, like, that's what I was like. As far as this guy, I'm pretty sure he is where he is.
No, I speak from experience there. At my age, I can't run away fast enough.
That's exactly right.
So, no, but seriously, that's tough, and it's going to need a discerning mind. So, what are we going to do now? We had talked, I think, before you switched the record button on that because I'm doing a lot of work on Texas water and some other stuff. I got a list of operator certifications, and I see a whole bunch of what you would think are not traditional American names, but are very traditional Islamic names.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, well, if that doesn't open a door,
There's so many.
Yeah. And then what is it? We had to move this soccer, this World Cup, whatever thing. We had to move training camps into Mexico because there was a real concern about having these guys and their entourage in the U.S., training.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they moved down to Tijuana.
Oh.
And that's another open,
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Iran has stated openly for years that they will even use criminals to get their path, to help smooth the way for their path.
Well, and that's the thing, going back to what these liberals here in our country are thinking. They're thinking they're in control. And the truly radical Islamists are letting them think that.
Absolutely.
Think what you want. Just get us in.
Yeah, you're just a handy tool.
And then when they're done with them, they will be killed.
Oh, the
Probably first. Yeah.
Because a lot of those guys are going to be the homosexual or the what they think is you're a mouthy white liberal woman, so you have no value. You're going to go off the roof with the homosexual guy.
Yeah. Well, and that's a wild thing too. Like, I don't want to see anybody stoned or thrown off a roof or anything because I truly care for people. But when you get the gay rights for Palestine and all that, I'm like,
what an oxymoron that
they
is.
will kill you.
Yes.
Like they'll kill me for being white, straight, and non-Muslim.
And those same guys will tell you, oh, no, they practice this all the time. Yes, they do practice it all the time, and they will kill you.
Yeah. Right. That's there. Well, I think it was my grandpa said when he you don't know, but he spent time working in Saudi Arabia. And so his view was that he understood it as girls were for baby, as for the natives over there, girls were for babies and boys were for fun.
That's almost word for word what I've heard in 7 or 8 Muslim countries.
Right. And so that's what he said. He said it was just sick. And, stories that I've heard, secondhand and whatever. He's like, hey, we just kill these guys. Like, they're like, no. You can't, because they're just going to find some more and they're just going to do it. You can't help them.
Yeah, I have to have a wife because I have to have children and a family and progress the society, the Islamic society. If I take a non-Muslim as a homosexual act, etc., I can do whatever I want with them.
Right. Well, yeah, because that doesn't violate anything.
And if I want to kill them afterwards, that's up to me.
I think, and the reason I wanted to have the show is I just need people to understand, just to kind of open them. It's just hard. It's the Overton window. We need to broaden our window to see something that we just have never accepted before.
What we've broadened our window to is that you're going to get a whole lot of hate mail saying, boy, that old fart doesn't know a thing that he's talking about. I've been to those places, and that's not the way it happened. I'm just telling you, this is my personal experience.
Right.
And I'll tell you, it's been confirmed in more sterile conversations that I've had, both internet, phone, or face-to-face, with people about their culture. So are they at one extreme that's not real? Couldn't tell you, but it all fits very well with what I've seen. And I think if you don't want Hooks, Texas, become the new Belfast.
Right. Well, and that's what we need to be paying attention to.
Right.
Plus, the Irish are easily riled up anyway. I don't know why we why they started there, but
that's why God let them invent whiskey. Otherwise, they'd run the world.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The Irish they're incitable, but when you see the Protestants and the Catholics say, "Hey, we need 48 hours to kind of get our stuff together," then we can go back to firebombing each other.
They're dividing up territories and duties, et cetera, right now, on who's going to do what.
Yeah,
and we're not that smart. We're gonna, as long as we get our latte in 3 minutes, man, the world is okay.
Right. And what's happening in Belfast is a very reminds me, and I don't have any inside information, but you ever see the movie Gangs of New York?
No.
Well, and it was about, when when there was the 5 boroughs and how they fought each other. Right now, that's what we've got. Like you said, Belfast is like, oh, hold on. We've got to get our guys together right here. And then we can split back up once everybody has their assignment.
Once our truce is over, I'll cut your throat.
Yeah, but for now,
let's work together. And I'll tell you what, shoulder to shoulder, they're going to find out they can do a lot of stuff. So let's hope that they don't break apart again.
Right.
Let's hope that the Jesus Christ of the orange and the Jesus Christ of the green is the same person, and that we can.
And he should be
together. And it should be the same here. Like I said, 12.7 million Baptists.
Right.
But the actual activity and commitment level,
yeah,
way below 10%.
Well, I mean, I'm not in the Baptist church, but the SBC seems to be breaking apart.
It is, and like the Methodists had before, that kind of thing, and that's okay. I'm not so much Baptist, but I'm just saying that's one of in the South here. Glad to be in the South.
Yeah,
that's one of the mainstays of society here.
We're right on the edge of the South. Some might consider us just Texas, so it's where you cut that.
Yeah, I guess
we're part of. Yeah, but I mean, historically.
There's
part of the South.
There's biscuits and gravy here, so it's the South.
There's also crawfish.
Oh, okay. I'm allergic. I do eat shellfish, though. Anyway, doesn't matter. But I've probably taken up a whole bunch of your time. You'll need to edit out all the stuff where I said that I was pretty. So
no, we're going to leave it in.
No, you can't. You said your audience was women, and they're over there, trying to hold back a gag reflex.
Well, all right. Well, I appreciate you coming in. I think this was worth talking about. It's a hard conversation.
It is.
Because we're uncomfortable with being uncomfortable in this country.
Yeah, I've never been that way.
Right.
I don't want to portray the wrong attitude either. My soul is saved by the blood of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
That makes me forgiven. It does not make me perfect.
He was the only one to ever come to the world perfect.
That's correct.
And he was murdered for it.
But we killed him.
Yeah, we killed him. Luckily, he was God, or by design. And so he got up. Here's the deal. If you read it, chose to die, chose to live again. He didn't just it was a miracle, but he chose when he was waking up.
That's correct.
He chose when he was dying.
And he said when he would do it.
That's exactly right.
Decision's already been made. I am concerned with the next generation. I'm concerned with what they're going to have to go through. I don't want to see my children or grandchildren walking through Dallas, Texas, like it's the streets of Djibouti.
I understand that concern. However, you were born for your time. I was born for my time, and I believe my daughter was born for hers.
That's true.
And so they will be equipped as long as we show them what to believe, give them the option, and educate them on how to think.
Yes.
And that's the deal. That's the deal with all this. Critical thinking. How do you think? How do you break down information? How do you break away from these screens? How do you do all this and then process? As long as you have those skills, which I believe a lot of this in the conspiratorial side of my thought processes is to work against that. No, we don't want you to think. We don't want you to process. We don't want you to be critical.
That's why with AI, I want AI to work for me. I don't want it to think for me.
Right. Yeah. I put all kinds of stuff into AI, but it's like, hey, I need this, this, and this. And then I'm like, nope, that isn't what I wanted you to do. I need it to be combined like this. And then running AI, not AI running me.
Right. And I think that's what we've done with education. We've kind of handed that over to the machines and to the bureaucracies.
Right.
Instead of saying that, hey, you're a teacher, you're also a parent. So you feel the same way I do. So let's work together to get this done.
Right. Talking about handing it over to the machines reminded me of the movie Terminator. and how they were doing some stuff, which then this is the way my mind works, which then threw me into the new Disclosure movie about aliens coming out.
I haven't seen that yet.
And I probably won't. But you know, who's the director on that? Spielberg. He said that, you know, it's going to make Christians reconsider their faith. And I just have to say this. No, it's not. I've already considered that. I think Ephesians 6 says we battle against otherworldly entities. I believe that to be, if we're battling against them, they're demons. And if they're with us, then they're angels. But the Bible clearly states that these are there.
They are there.
And so it shouldn't make you question your faith. Just question where you're getting your faith in. Do you have more faith in this guy saying it's aliens, or do you have more faith in the Bible saying it's angels and demons?
Yeah, I heard this deal about the other day about somebody saying, well, Jesus is the same on Jupiter. And no, he's not. Jesus came to earth. So does that mean that that in this man's thinking that Jesus went to Jupiter and was crucified all over again? Or that Jesus went to whatever alien planet where there's humanoids or other souls, for God's sake? No, I don't think so. I think.
Oh, I took that a different way.
Right. And I understood that may not be the way that he meant it.
That's the way you took it, though.
No, I said that's just one of the ways.
Oh, yeah.
There's 3 or 4 different ways. I think what he really meant was Jesus overcomes the entire universe.
Yeah, that's the way I understood it.
But yeah, and that's what I don't want people to misunderstand. What I think this man was saying was that Jesus' power is universal.
Yeah.
Not just the solar system. Jesus is
everything.
Every single thing.
Well, it's like when people say, yeah, that's exactly right. That's what I think the intended meaning was Jesus is in control, no matter if you're from Jupiter or from
Roger that.
Yeah, or from whatever.
And just like me, I wish if I go back and look at what I said, boy, I wish I would have said that more clear.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. But you know, one thing that I don't like, and that I don't like people to say, that I catch when someone says is, well, my Jesus, I'll say, well, there's only Jesus.
Yeah.
Whatever your mind decides he is, that doesn't make it real.
That doesn't mean that Jesus complies with what your mind thinks.
That's right. Because we've all asking for stuff and I'm like, no. and
quit being stupid.
Yeah. And a lot of times I look back and I'm like, whew, thank you for being in control, because that would have really derailed all the blessings and all the things that have happened. Yeah. Well, George, I appreciate you being here. I always enjoy the conversation. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. And I'll look forward to some severe editing.
Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, before we do that, that is one of the things, and I want to say to our listener that I do take, I try not to be prideful, but I think that's part of the realness of the show is this is just a real conversation. And as you know, I just want everybody to know that they're not heavily edited. I mean, there'll be a word or two here or there sometimes, but that's what we're trying to give is real conversation.
And everybody should understand that your guest, especially in my case, my views are not necessarily shared by you.
No, that's, you know, I don't say that very often. But that is the truth. I'm just giving everybody a chance to stay there, and then
to dig their own grave.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And sometimes that's what happens. All right, let's get out of here. George, thank you. Thank you, everybody. I hope God blesses each and every one of you today.
Shukran jazila.